Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to my page or my channel. I'm going to be doing a human design reading on Mark Carney today. This video is not meant to sway in terms of politics. I've done other videos on Trudeau, Freeland, Pierre Poilievre, Musk before. And this video is to show you what Mark Carney's life purpose is, where his energy lies, as well as just some neutral anecdotes about his astrology and how it impacts him and his day-to-day life, as well as a little bit about his birth chart. So if you are unfamiliar, human design is our energetic makeup from the time that we are born. It is how the energy settles into our body and programs us. We are all born with a certain level of programming, and that programming is what is going to dictate how we act in life. So I also do human design readings for my clients. If you want to get one, you can get one below. I also have a free guide, an intro to your human design if you're unaware. In human design, there are 5 types of people and 12 profiles. So I'm going to go through the basics of Mark Carney's design, as well as what his life purpose is, and how this may impact him in politics, or what he's maybe already gone through that's going to inform the way in which he politicizes things. One thing to mention is that Mark Carney's already gone through his Chiron return. Trudeau went through his Chiron return while he was in office, okay? So he ended that right before he resigned. This was kind of like what my prediction was. You can go and watch that video. Mark Carney, being 60 years old, has already gone through that, meaning a lot of the karma he's going to go through in life, as well as a lot of the learning experiences that he was meant to go through in life, he's already gone through. So in terms of like shitting the bed and causing issues, major issues like we've already seen, I don't see that happening. Overall, when I feel into his energy, he has a conservative approach, but some liberal values. And I think that he's going to bring a really good balance should he be elected as the next prime minister. So I have my notes in front of me here. I'll probably be looking at them just so I don't miss anything. And we're going to get started with the human design. As you can see via the chart, it looks like body anatomy because our energy is hosted in certain parts of our body. We have the centers there that are those shapes, the squares and the triangles. And then we have the gates and the lines that are connecting. Again, if you want to know about what all of these are individually, you can download my free guide. Excuse me, my throat chakra is getting ready for this. So Mark Carney is a manifester. That makes a lot of sense with his energy. A manifester is a little more on the rare side when it comes to human design. They have this urge to inform. They have this urge to do. They are usually the way showers and create new precedent, new ideas, new lines of thought. They also burn out really easily. So it seems like he may be one that knows how to delegate when it's not going to be the right time for him. He has an emotional solar plexus, meaning that he processes a lot through his emotions. Also makes sense because it's connected to a solar plexus, which is where our intuition is. So whenever he's making a decision, whenever he's saying something or doing something, it most often will be intuitively aligned or inclined. If not, he will delegate and gain information from those around him. In his profile, he's a 4-6, which means he's an opportunist and role model. So he will take opportunities to be a leader. It's quite literal in that sense. So when this opportunity presented itself for him to be in this position, he was like, yes, I'm going to do this because I can be a role model. I can do things differently. I can show the collective and people that it's okay if you're liberal, that we can all have different views but still get along, sort of thing. The opportunist thing is like he's taken other opportunities. For example, like I don't know so much of his history. I'm not looking to debate his history because I really don't even know it, and I don't care at this particular point because I'm just wanting to give you a read of his energy. What I did hear was that he worked on Brexit, and so even though he was not from the UK or not British, he still worked on Brexit. So that is very interesting to hear about, and he took that opportunity because I think of his background in economics and in the banking industry, and was able to, I think, successfully create some new protocols for them or something like that. His life purpose is a right angle cross of Eden in his human design. So he does work through his solar plexus a lot. Like I said, it's an intuitive thing. He knows how to communicate his experiences in a thought-provoking way. So he may be using examples of what he's done in the past as a way to help gain trust and maybe even sympathy or objectivity in the present, where a lot of people may react to that and say, well, this is not that, stop giving us examples, or you know, you haven't been the Prime Minister of Canada before, Premier, like whatever. I don't think he's been a Premier anywhere in Canada, right? My bad, but I don't think so. Sidetrack, really cool that he's from the Northwest Territories. I absolutely love that. I think that's really, really cool. I think that's really unique. But coming back to what I was saying, the flip side is that people are going to say, well, what have you done? The only way for him to show you what he's done is by giving you examples of what he's done that are kind of parallel in the scenario now. He has the potential to have high conflict resolution abilities. So for him, he's going to be given the opportunity to resolve conflicts that we've had, to resolve maybe shortcomings, or to tie up loose ends of things that have been annoying Canadians, or even within the House itself. He has that capacity. And because he has a little bit of this conservative energy and conservative values about him, it will be more received, but naturally the government always wants to be in conflict, or they always want to be one-upping each other. So that's what's going to be difficult. Even if he's doing something that's right, Polyev and the Conservatives are going to want to bash him. Canadians are still going to want to bash him. So you got to be mindful of that. And we have to be mindful of looking at the energy of where we want to go versus being in the martyr mentality or continuing to look at the past. We're manifesting a new earth. All we have is the present. So the past, while it exists, it does not anymore, because we're not unraveling the past. The past will unravel itself naturally, and accountability will naturally happen as we continue to elevate. So we need to be focusing on where we want to go versus the hardships or annoyances that we've had with past leaders, okay? He has a level of emotional maturity and empathy, so he's going to bring that to the house. He's going to be non-confrontational, more straight to the point, more direct, which I really like. And that's going to, again, like I said, serve him well. I think that's also going to help create more of an alliance again with the NDP, not in like a negative way, but just so everybody can kind of work cohesively together. In BC, we're already run by the NDP. Okay, it goes relatively well for us compared to other provinces, but yeah, that's kind of what's going on with his energy in terms of that. I'm going to talk a little bit about the gates, which are the numbers on this chart, 1 to 64. Not all of them, but just a couple of the ones that were really standing out to me as a part of his design. He has an ability to, this is 12 to 22 on the numbers. He has an ability to be in receptive mode and also to stand his ground. So even if people are disagreeing with him, he's not going to sway his opinion. He's very much in his conviction. And like I said, he's already gone through a lot of karma and learning experiences up till now. And there's not really so much more for him to like learn about like himself in depth. His opinions are essentially formed, whether or not you agree with them. 64 to 47, he has a positive mindset, which allows for him to have expansion. But like I said, he's already pretty rigid in his viewpoints and the way in which he sees things, because he's very well versed in certain areas. So he has his crown chakra that is defined. That's the triangle at the very top. So he's very strong in his beliefs. He's very strong in his vision. He's very strong in what he wants to create. And he's an informative person. So 43 to 23 is an informative person. He gives himself credit for being an informative person, and he's going to be able to come up with that and speak about that. And I think a lot of people are going to be triggered that he has confidence, because naturally people are going to want to trigger his confidence and make him feel like he's not good enough for the job, but that's not the truth. One thing that may get in the way for him is he's going to have a difficulty embracing this role. He's a little bit in this like imposter syndrome. He's a little bit of naivety to him. I think that's completely normal and natural. And so in those moments, he may want to delegate at times where he's not supposed to delegate. So that may make him look a little bit weak. But that's simply because he wants to have more confidence in doing what he's doing, have more grit at that. Things that are in his conditioning, he wants to have control over what his intuition is trying to tell him. So even if like his intuition is telling him to do a certain thing or to go in a certain direction, he may feel like, oh no, this is wrong, I shouldn't be doing this. But that intuitive nudge is meant to bring something more. But his like desire is to do the opposite of that, because he can't rationalize what's going to happen, or he can't predict what's going to happen after. But being a manifester, he is meant to be the one that shows the way. So he's going to have a difficulty in managing both of those sides, because he's doing it on more of a public platform. So kind of like the trial and error is more exposed, and he's on the front lines. And so being on TV as you're going through this trial and error process is obviously going to be difficult when you're matched with the energy of the collective, of people that are biased, of people that may be racist, of people that are conservative and don't want him in power, or however that may look like. He at times thinks he's not good enough. So like I said, the imposter syndrome is going to come in the way. That's 48 to 16. And he may feel like he's out of pocket, 58 to 18. So like I said, he's the one showing the way for a lot of newness and a lot of new things for people to gain a lot of clarity and insight. But he may naturally feel like, yeah, this is not really benefiting the collective, even though just by acting with his purpose, just by acting with that authority, he's going to be able to create something new. So the great side is that he has a lot of knowledge. He has a lot he brings to the table. He's going to have a lot of innovative ideas. The downfall at times is he may overly delegate, may end up looking weak in that regard, and may kind of fear the way in which he's perceived a bit too much if he's not feeling confident in what he's approaching us with. So next, just moving on to his birth chart a little bit here. He has his sun in Pisces. He has his moon in Virgo, and he has his ascendant rising in Taurus. So strong earth energy for him, and he's very practical. No wonder he was in the banking industry. It's a very 3D industry. It's a very matrix energy. So for him, that's where he really succeeded. But a part of his passion with this Pisces side of him, his sun in Pisces, no coincidence that he took over being prime minister in Pisces season as well, because this is his elevation in this next year of life for him. He's like, I have a draw, something that's going to emotionally fulfill me more. Chiron being in Pisces also kind of indicating that he's healing his masculine energy through being a leader in this sort of way. I feel like, being from a smaller place, like a territory, not as metropolitan and urban, he's naturally felt he's had to try a little bit harder. And that is going to be what allows him to expand, allows him to have more empathy with this Saturn also in Pisces. A part of his expansion is going to be more, when he's in his emotional fulfillment and when he's able to bring balance in. He's going to be really successful when he gets out of his comfort zone by addressing new viewpoints, maybe taking on viewpoints of conservatives and unpacking that and helping people feel that they have a voice, right? His Jupiter is in Taurus as well as his ascendant. So for him, the rising energy, the power for him, the transformative energy, he's going to feel much more in tune with himself when he sees that he's being revered for certain action steps he's taken, when he's getting recognition for certain things that he's changed probably pretty rapidly. A lot of people have been complaining like he's going to try to take over the election, or he's going to use all of this time to try to win votes. And I really do respect the fact that he called an election basically right away, because that really shuts down that viewpoint. And whether or not he's meant to win, he will win naturally versus like holding on to this position until October. I really respect him for that, actually. A couple of other things in his energy, moon being in Virgo, he doesn't really like to process his emotions. He doesn't like to feel weak, but he also wants a reason to feel that way. And that's not going to be the case all the time because he has an emotional authority. And 50% of the people on the planet that have an emotional authority may feel emotional without knowing why that's happening, may have this inclination to cry, or maybe you're just a little bit moody, but you can't predict why that's happening. You're not really meant to know why. You're just meant to process that and allow it. And so he may have a little bit of up and down when he isn't processing thoroughly. But I feel like he has a good support system that's going to allow him to fully be himself. And when he's fully feeling empowered within his masculine energy, with Mars also in Virgo, he's going to be feeling that that power, right? Like, yes, look, people like me. This is going great. And that's not in like an egotistical way. It just helps him redefine some insecurities that are still lingering with him, especially with Pluto also in Virgo. So like I said, him growing up in like, or being born in like the Northwest Territories and having that sort of small town vibe energy, born with it, even though he's moved around a lot and traveled a lot, right? Like being born with that, having that ingrained in you, you naturally subconsciously have this thought that I need to prove myself being from here. And that's gonna help him be more humble. It's gonna help him really kind of like allow other people are going to be able to use him as representation. And that's actually what DEI is a lot of the time. It's like we want to be able to have representation of people that look like us around us. And while he's a cis white privileged male, the place in which he comes from is going to be a really positive moment for a lot of Canadians from small towns that want to achieve things. And so that's just a little bit about his energy. If you have any questions about it, feel free to leave them down below. If you'd like me to look into anyone else that is prominent within the system and society, I would love to do that. You can also leave the name for me. All right, take care.